Hello and welcome to Strong Start Sundays. My name is Dr. Rachel Edoho-Eket, and I'm so excited for you to be joining us for tonight's session. If you are watching on YouTube, please come into comments and let us know who you are and where you're watching from. I already see Dr. Sonia Matthews here. We're so excited to have you. Yes, we are all together with our Maryland people. So thank you for being here tonight, Sonia. We always appreciate having you join in this conversation. And tonight, I'm really excited to welcome an amazing guest. His name is Justin Holbrook, and he is an incredible principal who serves in Baltimore City. And we're really excited to have you tonight. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat, talk about the best profession there is, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to share a little bit more about Justin. If you're not familiar with him and his work, he is the amazing principal of Armistead Gardens. It is a pre-K through 8 school in Baltimore City. He also is a previous Baltimore City Principal of the Year, and he's also a previous Baltimore City Teacher of the Year. So he has amazing accolades as both a teacher and an administrator. He also is the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals Connected School Leader, and he is our incoming president. So we're really excited to welcome him. He has an amazing wealth of information, both as a teacher and a leader, and we're really excited to hear his insights tonight. So Justin, thank you again for being here.
Not a problem. I'm really excited to talk. I know it's the end of the school year for a lot of us. There we go. Mr. Bradbury, one of our Armistead teachers, who's a aspiring leader that's in the chat as well. Excited to talk about education and talk about us getting closer to the summer. I know everybody's almost there, no matter where you are in the country.
Yes, welcome and welcome, Mr. Bradbury. We're so glad that you're here, and I love that you are also an aspiring leader. So you are working under a great leader, as you already know. And so we're hoping that tonight's conversation really inspires everyone to stay motivated, as Justin said, as we're finishing up our school year. But before we jump into our conversation, I want to remind you about our book, Relational Intelligence, the Key Factor to Exceptional School Leadership. Dr. Brad Johnson and I wrote this book specifically for school leaders because we want to retain and recruit the best teachers, and we want them to stay in our buildings. And so our book is really a blueprint and a guide for how we can build trust, collaboration, and communication so that we can have amazing school cultures where students want to be, where staff want to be, and where our families want to be. So tonight's episode is all about celebrating the success of our school year and keeping that momentum into next school year. And before we jump into the conversation, Justin, when is your last day of school? Let us know.
Our last day of school is this Tuesday. I believe it's the 16th. I've lost track of the days.
Yeah.
We have a half day on Tuesday because of our 3 snow days we had this year in Baltimore City. So we extended it 3 more days, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. What about you?
Well, I'm slightly jealous because we are going until Thursday, the 18th, but this is our last week of school. So we are very excited. It is time. I know that, the year is long when you start stretching into this part of June. I know part of the country is already out and has been out for about 2 weeks if they ended around Memorial Day, but there are other parts in the country. I know I have friends in New Jersey. I have friends in New York City. They are going until the week of like the 20th into the 26th. So they definitely have a couple more weeks left. So if you're in that region, we are thinking of you, and we're going to finish the year strong. So tonight, Justin, we want to talk about some things that we can celebrate. And one of the things that I really enjoy about you, we had a chance to get together with our MAESP team and really advocate on Capitol Hill earlier this year at the National School Leaders Conference. And there I had a chance to really learn more about you and your leadership. And I know you have so much to celebrate in your amazing school community. So I want to start off by asking you, what's something that you want to celebrate and lift up that went really well this year?
That NISLAC experience was really powerful, just to be able to get in front of lawmakers and people that actually create the policies that impact our kids is definitely a memory of the year for me. to tie that into a big celebration for us at Armistead, we're a school that's about 76% Latino, which with the current political climate has suffered around attendance and around fear and just around this, their acceptance in the country. So as a school, we've been able to hold our attendance to just under 92% this year and actually decrease our at risk for chronic absence, which is a really big celebration for us, considering the mountain we're climbing alongside those families, right? So to connect those together, it was really cool to see some of the advocacy that's happening at the state level to
Mhm.
support those students and support us as school leaders, right? Because we can't do it alone.
Yes, definitely. And that's one of the things that I walked away from that National School Leaders Conference in Washington, D.C. earlier this year in February. And it was the opportunity to talk with principals from across the country. So we
Hmm.
know there's lots happening in education in our field right now. And it was really important to hear from people in different states about what they're doing to help increase attendance rates, to build relationships with families, to make sure that we're messaging with families that schools are safe, that we will take care of students, because there's real fear. And so I'm really happy to hear the work that you did for your students. And we're going to get into some of the strategies that you use because I think it's really important for everyone to hear. But as we're reflecting, and people who are watching, I want you to think about one thing that you can celebrate. And I want you to put it in the chat, something that went really well that you want to lift up at your school. And as you're doing that, I want to share a celebration from my school. So as we're going into staffing for next year, we know that there are changes that are inevitably going to happen. And one of the changes that's happening next year is our coaching support. And so our teachers really banded together and collaborated. We have a new math standards, a new math program, and we had a team pilot that this year. And what they ended up doing was holding a training, a teacher trains the teachers, for teachers by teachers. And they met this past week. We all met together. They talked about successes from the year, things to learn, reflections, what was really good with student engagement. And it was a great time for teachers to hear from other teachers. And those teachers are committed to staying as leaders in that field and also making sure that they're going to be helping with data discussions in math, instructional activities, making sure that we already have those touch points on our staff before the school year next year. So that's a big celebration for us, having our teacher leaders stepping in to that role for other teachers. That's going to be really important next year to help keep our momentum moving forward. So that was a celebration that I wanted to lift up at our school this year.
That's a great one. I think
Justin, any
sometimes,
other celebrations that
yeah.
you wanted to lift up?
Yeah, that's a great one to share. I think sometimes we as school leaders forget to like celebrate stuff, right? Because we're so busy, like as I say all the time, like on the dance floor trying to figure things out that we rarely get up on the balcony to see stuff and actually like celebrate. Two other things that come to mind for us this year, and it goes to some of our inclusion work. At Armistead, we have what are called citywide programs in Baltimore City, which are programs for students with very high level special needs. And we have a wonderful PE teacher, similar to your topic around teacher leadership. And our PE teacher leads Special Olympics at our school. And we were the first ever Baltimore City school to win the National Special Olympics banner. We had a massive banner unveiling in the gym with confetti and balloons, and we had a parade around school. It was a very special day. And it's not something that's measured by data, right? Like it's just one of those traditions and one of those symbolic
Mm-hmm.
experiences that provide you the energy more than just a number does. I'm not saying data is not important, but just a really feel good day at Armistead. Mr. Bradbury, that's actually on the call, was in one of the mascot costumes. I don't know if he'd want to admit that, but he was sweating it out, having some fun in one of those costumes.
I love it. Remember reading about that in the press. That was amazing. Like I said, we focus on some data and test scores to
Hmm.
make sure that we're focusing on engagement, right? Student engagement. You can't put numbers on that. Family engagement, Special Olympics bringing something really special to the community, that's something that will always be remembered by your staff and by your students in your community. So that's wonderful. Oh, I see. Rocking the polar bear. Got it. Very cool.
Hey, now
And
we
I'm
have
sure
a
it was
story.
hot that day. So thank you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. Another one that we wanted to lift up at my school around student engagement, like the last couple of weeks of school can be very challenging for kids and adults alike. And so we wanted to do an incentive for the students. So we put up wanted posters and we had our faces up, the staff members, and we were going to tattoo the teachers. So the students were earning tickets every time they were showing their best behaviors, their best efforts. They were earning tickets, and then they could put in their tickets for who they wanted to have tattoos. And let me tell you, we ended up with a lot of tattoos. So that was something new. Leadership looks a little bit different this time of year, but it was great. So much fun.
Do you have a full sleeve, like full on,
Yeah,
all the way? That's awesome.
I had arms and legs covered in about 100 tattoos. It was a lot going on. And then, after school, you have to run errands. And so that was also different for me to walk in public like that. So it was a fun day. The kids loved it. Again, that's not something that we can measure necessarily, but that engagement, the laughs, the smiles, all that is really important as we celebrate the end of the school year. So next, I want us to think about what did we do to contribute to the success? So what are some things that we can continue? What are some things that we may need to release? What are some things that we want to modify? So as we're thinking about kind of systems level improvement, Justin, I want to come back to your attendance. What were some of the specific things that you put into place and that your team put into place to really support your families?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind, and it's been a theme throughout this year, especially with our staff, is work around Brene Brown and around trust, right? And thinking about trust as a jar. And it's not the big, massive first day of schools, back to school nights, like those big events. It's really the little interactions and the little pebbles that you put into the jar to build trust with families. So for me, it's being present at morning entry, giving kids high fives. I'm bilingual as a school leader, so speak Spanish and love to communicate with my community, and just being able to speak with them in Spanish and connect with them, joke with them, have conversations about how their weekend was, really connected and built some trust around that our building was safe. I think systematically what we did a really good job this year is identified a team, right? As a school leader, you cannot do it all. And so we developed an attendance team called the core attendance team that met every Thursday at 8:30. And we looked at the week before and the week of who was coming, who wasn't, who was high, who needed support, who the individual kid was, right? Not just, 93% total for the school, but who are the 93, who are the 7%, and get onto the phones, get home visits, check in with people. We did similar incentives to the tap the teacher, tap the principal, et cetera, those types of things. We had monthly incentive for grade level competitions. But really, it's just the small little habit of listening to families and hearing their concerns and acting on their feedback. And whenever there was anything that was along the lines of immigration or things like that, it was always a very clear message. And I think that really helped them feel comfortable sending their kid to school.
Yeah, that is such a wonderful set of insights that you shared. I really like that you talk about a team. We cannot do anything by ourselves if we're going to do it well. And I love that you had your team meeting on a regular basis, not just looking at percentages, looking at individual students, making those touch points. Like you said, those interactions matter more than we know. We think we have to have these big, grand gestures of things, and it's not about that. It really is the small, consistent actions that keep our families and students engaged. So I love that you have those actionable steps that any of us can take into next school year, especially if we're focusing on our attendance rates, because attendance rates over the years have been dropping. We're like trying to get them back up. And so anything that's working, we need to elevate and share. So Justin, thank you so much for sharing those. I know at our school, we focused a lot on using talking points. That's one of the tools that we use, so that we go through the same process with our student support team, and our teachers are making those touch points. If a student has not been in school for 2 days, our teachers are making that touch point in the family's native language to check in and ask that care and concern. How is your student? We miss them. Is there anything that we can do to support? And it does make a difference building trust with our families.
Absolutely. I would add into partnerships, right, to that extended team, right? Like, it's impossible to do it just with teachers and principals. You need community partners. So one thing that I'd love to highlight and celebrate about Armistead is we were able to partner with Johns Hopkins and have the first ever community health worker certified as a teacher at Armistead. So our librarian is a certified community health worker. So she was able to, if we had those talking point conversations, we use Class Dojo, but same idea,
Yeah.
right? And a parent needed help with laundry, or a parent needed help with immigration paperwork or legal support. She then had the connections through Johns Hopkins to link that parent to the support to remove the barrier. Same with our community school model with the Central Y of Maryland. We kind of divvied up and really figured out, like, these are the students that work better here. These are the students that work better here, and able to loop in partnerships to really elevate the attendance at Armistead.
I love it. And that's something, a program I haven't heard of. So thank you for lifting that up through Johns Hopkins, working through our local university systems. That's another tip, that if you have local universities or business partnerships that can really help, schools should be reaching out. Because like you said, Justin, teachers and school-based staff can't do it all. And so it is great to have that full community commitment and buy-in there to support the families, because it takes a village. It definitely takes a
Absolutely.
village. Yeah. So thank you for lifting up the importance of partnerships as well. Our last point is really thinking about being intentional about what we're going to carry forward. You know, there's so many things that we are responsible for doing, lots of different initiatives, but now is the time of year where we can really step back and reflect on what is necessary and what we can release. And so as you're thinking about next year, Justin, what are some considerations for how you might determine if something should stay, or if it is time, you know, to let something go or to modify something?
It's a great question. I will say it's something, as a newer principal, when I started, it was really difficult to do, because you always hear, right, from those supervisors or the district level above you is always like, well, what's next? Where's the data? What's next? What's next? What's next? Right. And we don't necessarily have, to quote I heard the other day, the luxury of mediocrity to pause
Mhm.
and think. We always have to keep going because there's always something else to do. One thing I started last year was what's called a good to great list. And so the first day of school, I create just a random Excel
Mhm.
sheet. And I use it the whole year to drop little things in when I hear feedback from parents or teachers, or I see something, or I see it on a social media thing. Oh, we could try that. And so by the end of the year, I've got a running record. I think right now it's like 76 or 77 ideas to add in and tweak. Anything from, like, to your teacher collaboration celebration, like, how can we make collaborative planning better when a teacher shared a really good idea? Or I saw on, I think, LinkedIn or another platform, schools had field trip T-shirts, so they knew in bright yellow where their kids were, and I was
Mhm.
like, that's a great idea. Let me take that, right? So just as a way to keep the feedback in one location throughout the
Mhm.
year. So we'll go through that as an administrative team here as the school year ends. The second thing that I do is just a simple Google feedback survey. Um, and I know teachers get surveys and links all the time to fill out. I get it. I know what it's like. I was there too. I actually just sent it my feedback survey for the end of the year this evening to my staff, and it's just a way to check in to see, hey, what am I doing well? What am I not doing well? And what solutions or ideas do you have? I don't have all the answers, and I know that I don't have all the answers, but we have some very smart people that have
Mhm.
great ideas, and then also can lead that work. So we kind of talk through and get some good feedback in the summertime. And that's also aligned to my my evaluation system, the same types of questions. So I can still share it with my supervisor and have the same
Mhm.
conversations around like, hey, we're thinking about going in this direction. You said this kind of matches, this doesn't match. And having those discussions as we transition into a slower paced summer.
Yeah. You know, I love hearing you talk about surveys because that's one thing that I'm very passionate about is making sure that as school leaders, we give opportunities for our staff to provide us with feedback. 9 times out of 10, we are giving our staff feedback all year long. But how often are we stopping to check and asking for feedback from other people? And that's really important because some people can go all year without having an opportunity to provide feedback to their leadership
Hmm.
team. And it's really important that teachers and staff, all staff, have that opportunity to do so because we don't have all the answers, like you said, and we don't always know how things are going. How can we have that check without getting input and feedback? And so it goes a long way with our staff morale to be able to say, honestly, I want to know the feedback, I want to improve, and then acting on that feedback. So thank you for lifting that up and for giving that opportunity because it's really important for all of our staff to know they are professionals, that they are trusted, and that we can work together to make our school even better. And I love that running list that you talked about. In real time is what I heard you say. You are taking feedback, you're looking at ideas, and then you're working. I see Dr. Matthew also gave us she really talks about those small moments adding up, like the attendance team and your work and the intentionality. So thank you, Dr. Matthew, for your reflection. Another thing I want to think about, Justin, is how can we have staff revisit what's working well? Like also, how can we like celebrate now as the school year is ending? And how can we also translate that celebration into the fall to keep some of that momentum up?
That's a very good question. And something that I think we forget to do at this time of year because there's so many things to do and so many list items to cross off. One thing that we do at Armistead that's really, really simple is called Good News of the Day.
Mhm.
And it's just literally a mindset of like, what's your good thing? Right? What's your got to good thing today? Like you got to do this. It's not an obligation, right? You have the opportunity to do something. And we start every conversation off with those community builders. I also love the protocol roses, buds, and thorns. If you
Mhm.
are familiar with those, where we always start with roses, like what are the flowers? Like what are the good things? Like we can't forget to celebrate them. What are the
Mhm.
buds or opportunities that are out there? And then thorns, what are the pinch points, right, that are limiting the flowers and the buds of coming? Those are two quick little protocols and systems that we just try to keep in the forefront, especially at this time of the year when people are very, very tired.
Yes, yes, I love those. I like that you're giving opportunities for staff to lift up what's working well. Oftentimes, like you said, when you get tired, you tend to focus on what isn't working, what you're upset about. But if we can help shift that mindset a little bit more towards what is working well, what can we celebrate? That's a great thing for staff to stay motivated, and not only staff, us as leaders as
Hmm.
well. It's important for us to stay motivated. So when we can see those celebrations. And honestly, sometimes teachers don't always see what's happening in their classrooms either. And so it's helpful for an admin to come in and say, here's what I saw, here's what I heard. You don't know this, but one of your students has told me the nicest thing about you. And then I will let the teacher know what was said. So I
Hmm.
think those celebrations are really important for all of us to stay motivated, especially during our last 2 days of school for you and last 4 days of school for us. So, Justin, I told you the conversation goes really fast. We have about 5 minutes left, which is hard to believe. So, I want to review some of the points that we shared, and then I want to close out by asking you about your summer plans. So, the first one we talked about was celebrating progress and growth. It's not always about data points, but it is about what are the small moments? What are the big moments? What does student engagement look like? What can we say that we worked on that's not always measurable, but that we know has made a substantial difference in the culture of our schools. So we want to take time to lift up not only the test data, but also the data that is, different in a tangible way. So we want to lift that up. We also want to identify what processes and systems worked and what we need to continue, what we need to modify, and what we need to release altogether as we're going into the next school year. And third, we talked about being intentional about what we're carrying forward. How are we celebrating now and in the fall so that our teachers know and our staff knows their hard work made a difference in the life of our school community and in the lives of the children that we are serving. So as we are closing, Justin, I wanted to ask you, what are your summer plans? What conferences are you going to? Tell us about that.
I will be going to the national conference for NAESP, where I'll get to celebrate you as the keynote, which is a really big deal. So congratulations to that, and get to step into the
Thank you.
MAESP piece. So want to celebrate you and thank you for all your leadership with MAESP. It'll be my first time at the national conference, so I'm super excited, and excited to learn and see from across, like you said earlier with NISLAC, right? Like talk to leaders across the country. I've noticed when I've talked to teachers, educators, principals, like we all have the same issues. We just approach them in different ways, and it's so
Mhm.
invigorating to meet other people and pick their brains.
Yes, you're gonna love it. That's one of the best conferences. It just is an amazing time, like you said, to connect and to learn. And thank you, because I'm really excited about the opportunity to provide one of the keynotes during that conference. And I've been practicing, and I'm really excited to share a message around family engagement. So thank you, and I can't wait for that. And again, I'm so excited for your leadership as our next president of the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals. It's been so fun to serve in that role the last year. And I'm excited for you and your leadership and all the wonderful things that you're going to be bringing to the organization. So thank you in advance for that. And are you going to be traveling this summer? Are you going to be doing any vacations?
Yes, I will be going to Bethany Beach with my family. My wife is also a
Mhm.
teacher too, so it's a great time for us to escape. And then some little things here and there around the Philadelphia area. I have World Cup tickets coming up in 2 weeks, which I'm pumped
Oh,
about. So I'm a
nice.
huge soccer fan, so excited to do that as we, kind of get a chance to step away this summer. So excited.
Yeah. Family time is so important. You know how I feel about that. And I'm really glad
Hmm.
that you're taking advantage of your time with your family to enjoy that. The summer time is perfect for that. So I'm really glad that you have a mix of, special family, also professional learning time so that we're prepared for the incoming school year. I want to remind you to pick up a copy of Relational Intelligence, the Key Factor to Exceptional School Leadership. It's available on Amazon, and we're actually coming up on our 1 year anniversary of this book. So next month, I'm excited to see you. Save the date. It's going to be July 19th and July 26th. Dr. Johnson will be on July 26th, and we'll be talking about our book and celebrating the 1 year anniversary. July
Awesome.
19th, stay tuned for that topic. But I'm really excited for everyone who has stayed with us this year. I can't believe it's been almost a year of this podcast. And I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for everyone who has been a guest, who has been on, who watches, who rewatches, who's adding to the conversation. I just really appreciate your time. Oh, we have a question for you, Justin. Dr. Matthews wants to know, how do you categorize the items on your list? How do you organize that list of kind of ideas? Great question.
That is a great question. I do. So I just type them up throughout the year and don't really worry about the categories. But for my summer plans, we always categorize in four new leaders buckets as a new leader graduate: instructional leadership, talent management, which is any staffing thing, planning and operations, which is, budget, facilities, the nitty gritty stuff. And then the last one is school culture. So any attendance incentives, those types of things. And the Google Sheet color codes. And then from there, I assign the feedback to an administrator, AP, or myself to lead in those buckets. So that's how I organize for the planning.
I love it. That sounds really, really helpful. And what a nice way to organize all the information. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for that question, Dr. Matthews. Well, we have come to the end of our time. And again, I want to thank you, Justin, for being here and for sharing all of your insights. You are such a great leader. And I continue to learn from you and all the wonderful things that are happening in your school. And I thank your colleagues for coming on the call tonight. I think it was really cool. We showed up in the same color today. So I love that. I love being color coordinated, so that worked out perfectly. I want to wish all of you an amazing end of your school year. If you are ending like us, I wish you a wonderful summer break. Truly take a break. The work will be there. Spend time with your family and enjoy your time. If you're already on summer break, I'm slightly jealous, but we'll be there soon with you to join you. So thank you again for being here. We're going to take a couple weeks off because I'll be at some conferences. I'd love to see you at ISTE and ASTD if you'll be there. I'll also be at the Building Expertise Conference in Orlando in a couple of weeks. I'll be in Chicago at Culturize starting next week. It's just going to be a great summer. And then, as Justin said, being at the National School Leaders Conference, having an opportunity to keynote in Orlando. I'm so very, very blessed and excited for that opportunity. So I look forward to seeing you. And then we'll be back on Strong Start Sundays in about a month. So have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye.